Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to a special edition of This Week in Magic Online Finance. In fact, let's call it by its more accurate name, This Year in Magic Online Finance. That's right, it's Monday, December 30th, and there's only about a day and a half left in 2019. With the new year so close, I wanted to spend the week talking about the larger patterns in the MTGO market over the past year, and see if we can predict what Magic Finance might look like in 2020. Don't worry, our normal movers and shakers will be back in full force next week, but today I'd like to spend some time with the bigger picture. Let's start off by talking about where MTGO Finance was at the start of 2019. And if you can recall, things didn't exactly end well for Magic Online in 2018. Arena debuted to great fanfare that year, and WotC tripled down on telling us that Arena would be the future of competitive Magic. In fact, they restructured 2019's entire tournament structure in order to privilege Arena, and why not? The program looked great, it worked well, and it seemed like less of an overall hassle than our old friend Magic Online. This, of course, caused a bit of a panic in the MTGO market. Even though WotC told us over and over again that Modern was not coming to Arena, and that MTGO would not be abandoned, a large group of people decided to panic sell their collections anyway. And this caused the market to crash, which in turn led to more people selling, which led to even lower prices. And this is pretty much how stock market crashes and recessions happen too. All of these things are caused by a crisis of confidence, and at the end of 2018, people's confidence in Magic Online was very low. But then a funny thing happened. MTGO didn't die. People continued to flock over to Arena for Standard, but MTGO is still the only place you could play Vintage and Legacy and Pauper and Modern and even Cube. Some folks still needed MTGO in order to test for events, while others simply found it a more convenient place to buy decks and build a collection. The MTGO market rebound didn't happen all at once, and prices were still pretty low throughout most of January and February 2019, but the market did pick up as the weather got warmer. By spring, a lot of Modern staples were just as expensive as they had been before the crash. And by summer, most people had forgotten about the panic almost entirely, and the MTGO market was quite vibrant again. That said, the MTGO market in 2019 was nothing like the MTGO market in 2018. The folks who panic sold their Modern collections may have been wrong to do so, but they were right about the fact that Arena would permanently alter the Magic Finance ecosystem. Before Arena, all Standard and Limited play had to be done on MTGO, and the fact that most of that stuff has shifted over to Arena now has resulted in a very weird economy, especially when it comes to recent cards on Magic Online. For one thing, Standard playability doesn't mean all that much on Magic Online anymore. In paper Magic, a Standard card can still break out at a major tournament and quadruple in price overnight. On MTGO, however, that same card will often just remain a bulk rare. I used to cover the evolution of each Standard metagame in detail on these videos because it was really important to understand that stuff in order to talk about MTGO price increases and decreases. I began to phase that out in 2019 because it no longer seemed to matter all that much. By the end of the year, I was only talking about the Standard metagame once every month or so. Now, there were some exceptions to this rule. For one thing, Arena is a difficult place to build budget decks. Since there's no secondary market over there and all rares are equally hard to get, there are some Standard decks that are just interminable to build on Arena despite being, 30 or 40 tickets over here on MTGO. So whenever one of those decks surges in popularity, often due to Saffron Olive or another popular budget brewer, you can still get a true Standard spike on Magic Online. Set redemption also played a crucial role in the MTGO economy throughout 2019. The fact that you can still redeem your digital set for paper cards has prevented the Standard economy from tanking entirely, because if prices ever got too cheap online, people could just buy up a bunch of cheap MTGO sets, redeem them, and resell them on the secondary market in paper. This helped stimulate the Magic Online Standard economy quite a bit in 2019, and it created more than a few situations where a card like Core Set 2020's Chandra Awakened Inferno ended up being worth quite a bit on MTGO despite not actually seeing much play anywhere. The other unintended wrinkle of Standard and Draft moving over to Arena was a massive supply crunch for recent Eternal staples like Arclight Phoenix and Oko Thief of Crowns. Since so many fewer packs of these sets were opened on Magic Online thanks to the popularity of Arena, prices went absolutely buck wild. And if there's one headline to take from this year in Magic Online Finance, it's this. If there's a card in a recent set that ends up becoming a Modern or Pioneer staple, the sky is the limit. The best example of this is probably Vivien Arcbow Ranger. When Vivien suddenly became a key card in Pioneer's best deck right before the Star City Games Invitational, the price surged from 10 tickets up to 80. It's a standard legal card and it jumped 70 tickets in less than a week. I don't even need to go to my spreadsheet to know that this didn't happen even once the year previous, and it's simply the end result of an economy where fewer people are opening booster packs of newer sets, but people still need some of the key cards in order to play older formats. The other big financial development of 2019 was the inception of Pioneer, a brand new Eternal format that has quickly become embraced and supported by the community. While the first half of 2019 was all about Modern, the first rebound of Modern prices after the crash, and then the excitement and chaos caused by Modern Horizons, the second half of 2019 was all about Pioneer. In fact, Modern prices have been dropping for months now as the eyes of the Magic Online community have been laser focused on Pioneer. It's at the point now where almost all price movement on the client is because of Pioneer, and key Modern staples like Mox Opal are currently worth less than they were during the height of last year's Modern crash. And this finally brings us to our look forward at 2020. The first question we have to ask ourselves is this: will the Modern Index on MTGO rebound, or is this the beginning of the end? At this point, I'm pretty comfortable saying that yes, Modern will make a major comeback next year. WotC will do something to the format that inspires us, whether it's a major ban, or an unban, or another Modern Horizons set, or a Masters set, or simply a bunch of interesting tournaments in a row. The Modern Index might not show much movement until February or March, just like last year, but if you are a Modern player, buying in now feels fairly safe to me. I simply don't buy that the format is coming to Arena anytime soon, nor is it going to be phased out in favor of Pioneer. Both formats can and will coexist. Now, the biggest financial question facing MTGO in 2020 is whether or not Pioneer will be added to Arena within the next year. I feel very confident in saying that Modern is not coming to Arena this soon. That's just too many sets, but Pioneer seems quite possible to me. WotC has to want more format diversity on Arena for their marquee events, and it would be a great way to sell a bunch of old packs during an otherwise dead part of Magic's calendar. I'm not saying Pioneer to Arena is a done deal, but if I were in charge of the Arena team, it would be one of my top priorities right now. Now, I have no idea if 2020 is at all a recent time frame for Pioneer coming to Arena, especially since WotC hasn't said one single word about this. It's possible they prioritize bringing Commander to Arena instead, or they just try something weird with Pioneer over there, like making people pay a subscription fee, or only having it available on Wednesdays, or something else like that. All I know is that if Pioneer does show up on Arena, or if that's even hinted at, people will panic about MTGO prices again. Now, that doesn't mean you should sell your Pioneer collection on Magic Online or anything. Seriously, we could be talking about the far future here, but it's worth being aware that this might end up being the biggest MTGO finance story of 2020 as we look back from next December. So if even the thought of Pioneer on Arena makes you sick to your stomach about what might happen to the value of your Magic Online collection, you should maybe take action to remedy that one way or the other. The other thing that's worth reckoning with now is the potential end of set redemption. Set redemption already feels like a relic from another era, and WotC has continually reduced the set redemption window and increased the fee over the years. They'll probably shutter the whole venture at some point, and it could happen as soon as this coming year. If set redemption does go away in 2020, expect the economics of Standard on Magic Online to get even weirder. Players will be even less incentivized to draft and play sealed on MTGO, which would lead to even fewer copies of new key Eternal cards entering the marketplace. It could lead to a situation where the value of each set becomes incredibly top-heavy, with just one or two cards being worth 40 or 50 tickets, while the entire rest of the set is close to worthless. Admittedly, this would create some pretty sweet spec opportunities where cards spiking from 10 up to 80 like Vivien did would become even more commonplace. So no, I don't think MTGO is going to die in 2020 any more than it died in 2019. In fact, I expect the overall MTGO market to rebound from where it's at right now. Just like last winter, this is a pretty good opportunity to pick up staples at a discount. For example, Jace the Mind Sculptor bottomed out at 25 last winter, and it spiked into the 50s twice during 2019, once during May and again in September. As of the recording of this video, Jace is just 18 tickets. Odds are, he'll break the 50 ticket mark at least once again in 2020. But even though I do foresee good things for MTGO in 2020, I also don't see an end to the risk and market volatility that defined 2019. Even though there were quite a few times this year when the expected value of the cards in a booster pack was actually greater than the cost of that pack in a draft event, and yeah, this totally happened, especially with Core Set 2020 back in September, I still don't expect the arena crowd to suddenly start drafting or playing Standard on MTGO again. And that means, at a minimum, more crazy price swings as harder to find Standard legal mythics end up becoming key parts of Modern and Pioneer decks. As always, the best thing to do is neither sell out of MTGO entirely, nor just buy a bunch of cards willy-nilly. Keep paying attention to market trends, buy in when things get cheap, and sell when they get high. Don't be afraid to keep churning through your collection, and remember that these things are often cyclical. Things are never as good as they seem when prices are surging, nor are they as bad as they seem when prices are tanking. As with everything in life, the only constant with MTGO Finance is change. And that's all I've got for you today. Here's hoping you had a great 2019, and cheers to an even better 2020. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back again next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.